Hey there, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Maggie. So glad that you're here. I am a mama, doula, and childbirth educator, super passionate about all things natural, non-toxic pregnancy, motherhood, and life. So if you're into that, I would love for you to subscribe and stick around. If you haven't already, I am over on Instagram at Deep Roots Doula of PA. I share lots of doula content, also content about non-toxic living. So if you're into that, check me out over there. And I'm really excited about today's video because yesterday was my son's first birthday. And if you read the title, today I'm going to be sharing the 5 biggest lessons that I learned in the first year. Yeah, I feel like I learned so much in this first year of being a mother, and my son has grown and changed so much in the blink of an eye, and I can't believe it. And, you know, he just started taking a couple steps today, which is like, oh my goodness, I can't even imagine him walking at this point, but it's like right around the corner. And yeah, this year has just been so amazing, but such a wild ride, and I've learned so much about myself, so much about my son, so much about my relationship with my husband and my relationship with my parents. And I just feel like when you're open to the lessons that life gives us, like life gives you some lessons. So I'm going to share the 5 biggest ones that I learned in my son's first year. So the first one is acceptance, and this is a big one for me because I've spent a lot of my life kind of trying to change how things are or like how things happen rather than accepting how things are. So yeah, there were a lot of really hard times with my son, especially in the beginning. And you know, even when like your kid is just crying, it's heartbreaking. But I read something in a parenting book, I think The Conscious Parent by Shefali Tosbury or something. I'll put it in the description box. But you know, she said that like sometimes the kids, like, they just need to cry, and it's not our jobs to stop them from crying, you know. It's our job to be there with them and accept what they're going through as exactly what needs to happen. And also with that, like, accepting that sometimes the house is going to be a mess and some days are going to be really easy, and embracing and accepting and loving that, and also embracing and accepting and loving that sometimes days are going to be hard. I think it's really easy for us to fight what's happening in our lives and wish and hope and want it to be different. And I think there's an aspect of that where, like, you know, if something isn't benefiting us, like, of course that we should try to change it, not just be like, oh, well, I'm accepting how things are. But I think there's also an aspect to that where we cause ourselves a lot of pain and frustration and even anger by trying to fight or change, you know, how things are. And that leads me into the second lesson that I learned, and that is we choose how we react to certain situations. So one of my favorite sayings used to be, like, to my husband, like, you are frustrating me so much right now. And the reality of it is he isn't frustrating me. I'm choosing to be frustrated because of whatever is going on. And I think realizing and learning that I choose how I react to a situation has been so transformative and so powerful in our life and in our relationship, because by like understanding that and learning that lesson and knowing that I choose how I react to a situation, I can choose to react in a different way. You know, I can choose to react in a way where I'm not frustrated, or where I may be frustrated, but I'm not taking my frustration out on him. And it really changes how things kind of play out, because it, you know, if in that situation I'm like, oh, you're making me so frustrated, and I'm frustrated at my husband, just using this example, for something, that can spiral into like a disagreement and just this long drawn out, like we gotta resolve things, now there's a conflict, or I can just be like, okay, I'm frustrated at the situation and I'm going to express my frustration, but I'm not going to be frustrated at you and blaming my frustration on you. And I think that is really powerful in all relationships. It's really hard. I know there are days where I am still like frustrated at him, but I'm more aware of the fact that I choose how I react to a situation, and I can react in any way. And I think a good tool for just becoming more aware of our reactions is kind of taking a pause. So taking a pause, if there's a difficult situation, like taking just a pause, taking a deep breath, and then approaching it from this place of like, okay, now I'm not reacting from a place of like unsettlement or unconsciousness. I've taken a pause and now I can react or really respond in a better way to the situation. The next lesson that I learned is that we lead by example. And what I wrote down for this one is our children are watching us. And it's so true. So I try to live my life in a way where I'm authentic and transparent in every aspect. And I fall short in some places. I'm not perfect. I'm just human. But I try to live in a way where if somebody is watching me, because I make YouTube videos, but if somebody is watching me, then I am living in a way that I feel is integral, is honest. And if somebody was to take something away from me, and it would be to live in an honest, integral, authentic way. So I try my best to lead my life in a way where people will look at me and want to live in a similar way just based on my actions. So I think that's like what leading by example is just being a really good example of kindness, of compassion, of generosity, of love, of authenticity, of honesty, all the things that many people value. But my lesson that I learned with this is that our children are watching us. And like my son, since a very young age, he's been watching everything that my husband and I do. He's watching how we communicate with each other. He's watching what things that we say, if we talk about other people, he's listening. He sees how we carry ourselves. He sees how we react to situations. He sees different hand gestures. He sees how we eat. He sees how we play. He sees how we work out. And it's so important for us to lead by example, to live in an honest and an integral way, because he is a sponge and he is really watching everything and absorbing it and creating his own kind of worldview and ideas and personality and way of living based on us, based on what he sees and how we are. He's learning how to live. And so yeah, it's just so important to live in a way that we really feel good about and really sets a good example for our children, because they are the future generation. The next lesson that I learned, I called "It's Just a Phase." And this is something I heard Hey Shayla talk about. She's got a YouTube channel. She has 2 kids now, but I watched a bunch of her videos when I was pregnant with my son, and I'll link her down below so you can check out her videos. But she recently talked about something similar, and it's so easy to get caught up in things that are happening. So some of the things I wrote down are like my son only sleeping in the car, like only taking naps in the car, colic, being super fussy, teething. Like, it's so easy to get caught up in these things and be like, oh my God, this is never going to end. My son is always going to be fussy. He's always going to have terrible gas. My son's never going to take a nap in a bed. And it's just not true. Babies, especially in the first year, are developing like crazy and changing so much. And literally everything is just a phase. Like right now, unfortunately, I think he's moving out of it. But he likes to bite, and we gently say like, no biting. But now that I know that he goes through different phases, I'm like, it's just a phase. He's gonna grow out of it. He's gonna start doing something else and totally forget about it. I hope. That's how things have been in the past. But it's really easy to kind of attach ourselves to different things that are happening with our children and their development, and just dread every day and just get frustrated. I've been there. But this is your little glimmer of hope that it's just a phase, and they'll probably grow out of it. And the last but not least, maybe even the most important, is to be present, because oh my gosh, I cannot believe that this year went by as fast as it did. And yes, we have tons of pictures and tons of videos, but nothing beats being in the moment and having those memories with my son. Nothing beats being present with him in his big moments, in his days of growth, in his days of frustration, in his days of the first, his first words and his first couple of steps, and first exploring outside, first holding hands, first waves. Nothing beats being there in the moment. Everybody's always like, oh, get a picture, get a video, and I'm like, no, I want to be here with him fully in this moment, because that is where it's at. That's what life's about. But yeah, I cannot believe he's 1 year old. I can't believe that this year went by so fast and he's gotten so big. He's 3 times the size that he was when he was born, and I'm so excited to continue to watch him grow and develop and turn into his little person. He's got his own little personality, and I can't wait to see the things that he does. And yeah, I love him so much, and being a mom is the greatest thing ever. And I wouldn't trade anything for being present in those moments with him at every moment. I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I get to hang out with him every day, and it's literally a dream come true. It's the best thing ever. So yeah, those are my biggest 5 lessons that I've learned, and I'm so grateful to have learned them. They have transformed me into the person that I am today, and quite frankly, I love the person that I've become. I love the mom that I've blossomed into, the wife that I blossomed into, and I so much look forward to my continued transformation and growth as a person, as a mother, as a wife, as well as the growth of my son and of my husband as a dad, and a husband. But yeah, those are my lessons, and I'm just super excited, and I love you guys so much. So thank you for watching, and yeah, I will see you next week.